Welcome to day 29 of the 30-day holiday video challenge. Today we're making a fun cookie assortment that will make wonderful gifts for family and friends. Hi there foodie friends, my name is Carly and welcome to my channel Adventures in Yum. Before we get into today's video, I have a passion for learning about creating and trying new foods, drinks, and especially desserts. If you want to join me on my yummy adventures, and especially for this challenge, then please make sure to hit subscribe and turn on notifications so that you'll know when I upload new videos every week. Now, let's get into today's video. We're starting by whipping up our shortbread cookie dough. My favorite recipe is actually a Martha Stewart shortbread recipe, so that's the one that I'm using here. I'll link the YouTube video featuring Thomas Joseph demonstrating that recipe in the description. I decided to make a double batch following the exact recipe, but the only note that I have is that sometimes these cookies can come across as a little too salty, especially if you just have them plain, so reducing the salt a little would be perfectly fine. With this dough, we're making 4 different types of cookies. So after it just comes together, we divide the dough in half and then in half again. We add 1/4 to one bowl, another quarter to a different bowl, and then keep the remaining half in the original bowl. To one of the quarters, we're adding half a teaspoon of cinnamon and a 1/4 cup or about 40 grams of toffee bits and mixing that until just combined. For the other quarter, we're adding a 1/4 cup or about 33 grams of peppermint candy pieces and a 1/4 cup or about 46 grams of mini chocolate chips and mixing that until just combined. We're keeping the other half of dough plain for the last 2 cookies. Next, we add the doughs to separate pieces of parchment paper for each flavor, place another piece of parchment paper on top, and then roll them out between 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch or about 3.2 to 6.4 millimeters in thickness. We then place these on a flat surface in the refrigerator to chill for about 20 to 30 minutes. Once our dough is completely chilled, we're ready to cut our cookies. We're dividing the plain dough in half because this will be for 2 different cookies. The first is a Linzer cookie, which is simply a sandwich cookie with the center cut out of the top so that we can see that lovely filling inside. We use a cutter to cut some plain cookies, and then with this cutter that is made for Linzer cookies, we can add an attachable cutter to the center and cut our top cookies. You can also use 2 different size cookie cutters, one inside of the other. I just really love the convenience of using this one. We're then using a chef's knife to cut the second cookie, which will be rectangles that are about 1 inch or 2.54 centimeters in width and 3 inches or 7.62 centimeters in length. If at any point the dough gets too soft to cut, simply put it back in the refrigerator to harden once again. For our third cookie, we're simply using a Wilton C-size circle fondant cutter, which is about 2 inches or 5.08 centimeters in diameter. On a side note, when we're done cutting all of our cookies, we can gather those scraps, re-roll them, and cut more cookies. For our fourth cookie, we're using a chef's knife to cut them exactly like the plain rectangles that we cut earlier. For all of our cookies, we don't need a ton of distance between them on the baking sheet because they stay the same shape. If the cookies are soft at all, place them back in the fridge to firm up before placing them in the oven. We also want to use a fork or some other kind of pokey instrument to poke some holes into the cookies before baking. I've found that this isn't 100% necessary to do every time, so I only skip it when I want the cookie to be a little more aesthetically pleasing, like the top cookies of the Linzer cookies. We're then going to bake these at 300 degrees Fahrenheit or 149 degrees Celsius for about 40 minutes. Before we finish these cookies, if you're getting value out of this video, then please make sure to hit that like button, click subscribe, and ring that bell to be notified about my latest video. Once they're done, we place the baking sheet on a wire rack to completely cool. Here's what our finished chocolate peppermint shortbread looks like, and here's what our finished cinnamon toffee bit shortbread looks like. We still have a little more work to do for the other 2. For the Linzer, we take some room temperature caramel and use a piping bag to pipe some onto the center of the bottom cookie. We then place the top cookie on top, and our Linzer cookies are complete. For our plain rectangle cookie, we're coating it in chocolate. We melt 2 cups or about 340 grams of either Ghirardelli dark chocolate melty wafers or your preferred chocolate in the microwave. We then add our cookies one at a time, completely coat them in the chocolate, shake off the excess, and place the cookie on parchment paper to let the chocolate harden. Once we're done with all of our cookies and the chocolate is fully set, we melt half a cup or about 85 grams of Ghirardelli vanilla melting wafers in the microwave, add them to a piping bag, and then drizzle them at a diagonal angle over the chocolate-covered cookies. Finally, it's time to assemble our cookie assortment. We grab a cute tin like this one, add some holiday cupcake liners, and we arrange the cookies however we feel looks best. I had an extra space, so I decided to also add some of my dark chocolate peppermint lacy cookies to the tin in a large cupcake liner. Make sure to check out that recipe for another delicious holiday cookie. Admittedly, the rectangles were a little odd to add to the cupcake liners because of their size and their shape, but I felt like making a couple of cookies just different looked so much more interesting. There we have our 4 cookie assortment from one type of dough. Which cookie would you try first? You can also find this cookie assortment on my website, adventuresinYum.net. The link is in the description below. Make sure to come back tomorrow for the final day, day 30, where we're going to be making an awesome holiday treat. If you're interested in checking out some of the products that I used in this video, then please make sure to check out the video description below for their Amazon links. Thank you so much for joining me today, foodie friends. I'll see you next time for another cheerful, yummy adventure.